Welcome to week 3 of Praying the Psalms. This week we are looking at Psalms of Lament. Over a third of the Psalms contain a protest or a lament directed at God and asking for God's help. We can be far too nice in our dealings with God. The Psalms show us that there is nothing we cannot say. Our God can take it. One of the gifts of the Psalms is to give us the language in which to say the unsayable thing. There are some difficult themes in the Psalms this week. If you are grieving or hurting, you may find them a solace, but it might be best tackled at another time. In either case, please don't suffer on your own. Please feel free to ask for a telephone conversation at any time. We will begin by reading the psalm. Psalm 42. As the deer longs for the water brooks, so longs my soul for you, O God. My soul is athirst for God, even for the living God. When shall I come before the presence of God? My tears have been my bread day and night, while all day long they say to me, where is now your God? Now when I think on these things, I pour out my soul, how I went with the multitude and led the procession to the house of God, with the voice of praise and thanksgiving among those who kept holy day. Why are you so full of heaviness, O my soul? And why are you so disquieted within me? O put your trust in God, for I will yet give him thanks, who is the help of my countenance and my God. My soul is heavy within me. Therefore I will remember you from the land of Jordan, and from Hermon, and the hill of Mizar. Deep calls to deep in the thunder of your waterfalls. All your breakers and waves have gone over me. The Lord will grant his loving kindness in the daytime. Through the night his song will be with me, a prayer to the God of my life. I say to God, my rock, why have you forgotten me? And why go I so heavily while the enemy oppresses me? As they crush my bones, my enemies mock me, while all day long they say to me, where is now your God? Why are you so full of heaviness, O my soul? And why are you so disquieted within me? O put your trust in God, for I will yet give him thanks, who is the help of my countenance and my God. Water is the source of all life. Without it, we cannot live, but it can also be dangerous. Storm, tempest, and flood can destroy. In this psalm, both these images are used to describe what the psalmist is going through. The psalm is in 2 parts, with a repeated refrain. In the first part, the psalmist bewails a happy time which is no more. She thirsts for a previous life in which she was surrounded by happy people and could come close to God in worship. This resonates with all of us at the moment, as our pre-pandemic life seems so far away. But for some, the impact on their mental health has been devastating. The psalmist herself has fallen into a deep depression. She says, my tears have been my bread, day and night. And the skepticism of those around her is seeding doubts in her soul. How could a loving God let this happen? In the refrain, she asks, why are you so full of heaviness, O my soul? But this question is addressed not to God, but to herself. And although she then says, put your trust in God, we feel she is just holding on to her faith by her fingertips. In the second part, we get images of a storm, even of a tsunami in which she is drowning. All your breakers and waves have gone over me. There was a time in my life when this phrase resounded in my heart. Both my elder daughter and a beloved friend were diagnosed with cancer at the same time, and I felt as if all the certainties in my life had been swept from under me, and I was in swirling water with no firm foothold. The image of the waterfalls also reminds me of the poem by Gerard Manley Hopkins, which is one of the best descriptions of unrelenting depression. Oh, the mind has mountains, cliffs of fall, frightful, sheer, no man fathomed. Hold them cheap may who ne'er hung there. In verse 10 of the psalm, there's a moment of renewed trust and hope. The Lord will grant his loving kindness in the daytime. But it doesn't seem to last, and at the end of the psalm, it looks as though things could go either way. When this is our reality, we need help. We need to ask for support and request the prayers of others when we cannot pray for ourselves. But also to remember that this will pass. There will be a new day. And to know that the light of Christ shines in the darkness, and however dark the darkness, it will never overcome the light. Psalm 43 is a continuation of this psalm, and in it the psalmist is now able to pray, "Send out your light and your truth, that they may lead me." Christ is risen. The light will shine again. To pray with this psalm, praying from whatever is your grief, despair, depression, you can say to God, "Oh God, this is how it is. All your breakers and waves have gone over me." Tell God how awful and unfair it is. Blame God and cry out in protest. But also ask God to break into the situation with his grace and for help to come through it. You might like then to wrap yourself in a soft shawl or blanket so you can feel God's loving care holding you close. If this is not your experience at the moment, you might like to pray for any you know who are suffering or vulnerable to depression. Perhaps in your mind's eye, bring them into the presence of Jesus. Tell him their name. Watch as he lays his hands on them for healing, and see the light of his love surround them. Pray for all who are suffering with mental distress in the pandemic and the lockdown. Finish perhaps by giving thanks to God for his faithful loving kindness, and ask for grace for a deeper trust and hope in God. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.